Commissioner Elmore,
Yay.
Commissioner Giroux, Commissioner Griggs,
Nay.
Commissioner Jackson, Commissioner Lambert,
Nay.
Commissioner Lee,
Yay.
Commissioner Baker,
Yay.
Commissioner McKay,
Yay.
motion carries.
All right, motion carries 43. All right. Moving along here. Sorry. Is there anybody that still needs time to visit with the minutes? Is everybody caught up on that? All right.
We can discuss it. I visited the minutes repeatedly for many hours, but
I
it's
actually,
unable to
right.
solve.
I actually meant the people in the audience who just received the minutes today. Seeing no discussion,
There's not enough copies of minutes to go around as far as I can see.
is there anybody who
Las
needs?
Vegas is good.
All right. Is there anybody who would like minutes who doesn't have a copy? All right. Kathy, can you do me a favor? Can you get a couple of copies made real quick? And then we'll come back to this agenda item.
I could print those off, but it would be very noisy. Can we do that at a time of a break, or do you want?
We don't have time for any breaks.
Okay.
Joanne, is there any chance you could go down to the copier and just get them to make some copies of this? Okay. all
Thank
right.
you.
We'll come back to this agenda item in a few minutes. All right. Okay. Disposal of grants on hold, awaiting opinion of the Attorney General. Basically, the background on this is that 3 grants, 2 from the Nevada Trail Stewards and 1 from Lincoln County, were basically put on hold awaiting an opinion of the Attorney General. The motion asking for that opinion has been rescinded because the Attorney General was the wrong person to get the opinion from, and we were told by our own AG that those opinions, it's an ethical opinion, would have to go to the Ethics Committee. So, given that, do we have anybody who'd like to start the discussion? Anybody got any ideas on
Commissioner
what we should do?
Baker.
Go ahead.
I'm just wondering if we shouldn't take action on item 13 and 14 first, because then this may parallel those actions. I put 12 and 13.
Okay, 12 and 13. Does anybody else have any ideas of what to do on the agenda item 6? Yeah, go ahead.
Commissioner Griggs?
Sir?
Is it me? I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Griggs. I'm sorry.
I agree with that, what Commissioner Baker said. I think that's a good point, but I think all 3 of these grants will come back to us, and we may want ethics commission opinion when they do, and I think that takes time. So I would move that we forward these 3 grants to the Ethics Commission now to be reviewed, and if they come back to us at a later time, we'll have that out of the way.
Well, obviously, none of us have a crystal ball as to what's going on with this. I would suggest to the commission that we just go ahead and forward them to the Ethics Commission as an inquiry. And that basically gives us belt and suspenders, because if the Ethics Commission comes back and gives an opinion, then we have the opinion in hand, and we can work forward from there. Anyone else? Mr. Lambert?
I just made that motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was a motion, sir.
I said move, which is,
I apologize, it went right over my head. Is there a second to that motion?
This is Commissioner Elmore. I'll second it for discussion.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Mr.
Commissioner
Lambert?
Lambert, for the record, back on February 12th, there was a motion to suspend any letter of opinion, but on February 15th, Chairman Jackson signed an ethics opinion letter, might be viewed as a complaint on behalf of the entire commission against myself. It seems contemptible to me. It's very confusing as to how something like that could happen on behalf of the commission without the commission's knowledge, as contrary to the motion that was stated on the 12th. I find this contemptible on the chair's part.
Mr. Lambert, this is Paul Jackson for the record. Mr. Lambert has his facts wrong. The reality is that I did file a complaint with the Ethics Commission, a justified complaint, and was on my behalf, not on behalf of the commission. And that complaint was a justified complaint, and I expect it to be heard. Now, at this point, we are looking for discussion on the motion. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Yes, there is, because Mr. Jackson signed said motion as the chair of the chairman from OHV, and that encompasses this entire commission.
Okay, do we have any more discussion on the motion that's on the table?
This is Will Geddes at the Attorney General's office. I would just like to put on the record a recommendation that to the degree this commission later in this very meeting determines that it is going to have any rescinding action on any of the grants, I would recommend against this motion because I believe it would confuse, the way it's agendized, it would confuse the record to suggest that these are subsequent to this meeting. If the commission votes to rescind the grant process, it would send the message that these are actual grants that have proper legal force, which the commission may or may not revisit.
All right, do we have any further discussion? All
I have a
right.
question for attorney.
Commissioner Baker,
Is it
for the record.
possible, Commissioner Baker, for the record, I'm asking the attorney, under this agenda item, as we've agendaized it, would it be appropriate to modify the motion and ask for a clarification on commission members and their connection to the grants go forward to the Ethics Commission and not the specific grants that were previously applied for? Or is that not possible the way this item was agendized?
My conservative answer would be it's not possible. The agenda item reads, the commission will discuss what to do with 3 grants that were awaiting an opinion from the Attorney General. The commission moved on February 12, 2014 to rescind, requesting the Attorney General ruling on the Nevada Trail Stewards grants. Okay, so far we've identified grants and Nevada Trail Stewards grants. The commission may consider reviewing these grants, again, grants as if they exist and are valid, for possible funding, that's the subject right there, or ask for an opinion from a different body or do nothing at all. The commission will also discuss what to do with the remaining grant for Lincoln County law enforcement that was also awaiting an opinion for the Attorney General, but the commission has not yet rescinded the request. The commission may consider reviewing this grant for possible funding, ask for an opinion for a different body, or do nothing. So my conservative response is this agenda item envisions that there are grants, they pre-exist, and that actions of various types will be taken on them. If this commission later in this very meeting rescinds the grants, I believe that at the very least it will confuse the record and put forward a request for an ethics opinion based on non-grants, grants that have been invalidated by this commission. So perhaps the recommendation given previously by another commissioner to move the ordering of this around may make more sense.
All
Mr.
right.
Jackson, John Griggs,
Go ahead, sir. You want to restate your motion?
I want to withdraw it, please.
Okay, the motion has been withdrawn. All right, do we have any other suggestions as to what to do with item 6? All right, I will accept a motion to table item 6 until March 20th, which then we'll have a little bit better idea as to what's going on. Is there a motion to table agenda item number 6? Seeing none.
I motion to table
Mr.
agenda
Chairman.
item 6. Gary Lambert for the record.
All right, is there a second?
John Griggs, second.
All right, thank you. All right, any discussion? All right, I'll move to the vote. All in favor of tabling agenda item number 6 until March 20th or later, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any nays? Seeing none, motion passes. The item will be agendized for March 20th. All right. All right. Let's see. Why don't we move to item number 8, Executive Secretary Search Committee Report. Commissioner Baker?
We posted a formal recruitment on the Nevada state website and also on our OHV front page website. We asked for all applications to be turned in by the middle of March for a proposed interview process and start date of April 1. We've vetted we received 13 applications. Some of them were rejected due to not meeting the minimum qualifications. The ones that were qualified have been forwarded on to the committee. And from earlier direction today, I'm seeking guidance from the attorney on whether we can conduct the interviews with the subcommittee and not have it be a formal posted meeting where we have to set up the 3 hearings, and we'll wait to hear back on that. But pending that decision, we're going to move forward with some phone call interviews and then perhaps in-person interviews depending on the outcome of the phone call interviews. And I have a list of interview questions, but I think I'm going to wait till I get advice from Mr. Geddes on how we go forward before I discuss them.
And this is Paul Jackson for the record. And it's your intention to hold the interviews via teleconference the morning of the 20th?
It's my intention to try to hold the phone interviews outside of the formal public hearing so we can make that happen sooner than later by trying to get everything going. If the subcommittee and the phone interviews go well and it's unanimous with that one phone committee that we can pick a top candidate, we may not need them. And if we want to have the second set of meetings, it would be my intention to have that the Monday morning of March 20th.
Okay. All right. So what we'll go and do is put a public notice together so that we can have the hearing for that committee on March 20th in the morning. So that would be a separate meeting. It would be a committee meeting. And then on the conclusion of that, we would have our regular scheduled meeting. And we can probably put a time on both of those. All right. All righty. Any comments on Ms. Baker's report? All right. Let's move on to item number 9, mailbox, Mr. Cox.
It's my understanding, well, I had to write a check for a mailbox, for a new mailbox. Apparently there was some problem with the old mailbox. It's my understanding the old mailbox was never put into the commission's name. So the commission basically made sure we had our own mailbox now. I'm not sure exactly why. It was before my time. I don't exactly know why the commission paid for a mailbox that was not in the commission's name. I was wondering if I could get clarification on that and if it would be proper to seek a refund for monies that were not spent properly.
Ms. Cox, I believe the commission paid a check of $120. Do you know when that was paid?
For the original mailbox or the
For the
second
old
one?
for the old mailbox, yes.
I don't know exactly when that was paid. I don't have the checkbook record with me. I can't
Okay.
answer that question.
All right. All right. So are you moving to approve the expenditure for the new mailbox?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
You have a federal cash fund, it could have already.
No, because it's over that. It's over the 250.
I second the motion to pay for the new mailbox.
All right.
Is
Terrific.
there an additional motion?
No,
with
that's
regard
it.
to the refund?
That's it. Well, and again, we can't ask for a refund if we don't know when we paid. So, I mean, that would make it a little hard to do.
Working on it.
Right. All right. So, what was the amount again for the new mailbox, Mr. Cox?
I'm working on it.
This is Commissioner Elmore. These funds would come out of the administrative budget.
Yeah,
Correct.
they do, but I believe it was over the limit that's set that they can do every month without getting approval.
I just wanted to confirm that that's where the
funding, I believe.
funds are coming from,
Yes, they're coming from the administrative.
and we have them available.
Yeah. I believe it was a number of $290. Kathy, you may have a handle on that. How much was it?
As I recall, the amount was $290.
Right. Okay. So Mr. Cox's motion is to approve the $290 for the new mailbox. It was seconded by Commissioner Baker. Is there any further discussion? Okay, I'm going straight to the vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Aye.
Any nays? All right, so we're good to go. All right. Let's see. All right, let's go to. Give me 1 second here. All right, we're going to move to item number 12, reevaluation of grant awards and process, formalizing of new administrative regulations regarding the grant award process. The commission will discuss and deliberate, consider reevaluating the grant award process. Basically, what we're looking at doing here is well, actually, the next one is the rescind, isn't it? I apologize. This is a little confusing as to which one of these we do first. But basically,
If you do the first one first, then it makes sense why you would rescind.
okay. All right. So basically, what we're looking at is reevaluating the grant process and in view of new administrative regulations. Do I have any discussion or any opening discussion on this? Mr. Lamberts?
Could there be a copy of the administrative regulations that you proposed to the public and to myself availed right now?
That's been available. In fact, I think a copy was given to Mr. Quaid. He asked for it earlier.
I'm asking for one.
You should have received one.
Mr. Quaid says it's not correct, and I did not receive one.
Kathy,
I
do you
received
have?
several emails in regard to negotiating
Hold on.
changes, but I didn't get one.
Kathy, do you have a copy of the of Mr. Cox's regulations?
I am not aware of regulations from Mr. Cox. I'm not aware of that document.
Out.
This is Mr. Cox.
Yes, go ahead,
There
sir.
are no regulations. There were simply some suggestions sent to commission members for thought, so it could be discussed during this meeting, and Mr. Lampert got a copy of that. Miss Kathy Gross did not. She's not a commission member.
Okay. So, Mr. Cox, Mr. Lambert, you got a copy?
I got an
Apparently.
email chain asking me to feed into what appeared to be a discussion that wasn't public, and I didn't participate and set it to the side. What I'm looking for is a copy to discuss what we're discussing, because the public and myself aren't aware of the document. There's been too many documents flipped and flopped. There have been up to 5 agendas without a different title on them. I'm troubled.
Give me 1 second.
I think this is Commissioner Baker, and I'm confused because I didn't think we were talking about item number 7. I think we're talking about item number 12.
I'm sorry, Ms. Baker, could you repeat that?
The regulations is agenda item number 7, and I thought we were on item number 12.
Yeah, we
I'm
are dealing
confused.
with item number 12, yes, ma'am.
It states formulation of new administrative regulations.
I think what we're basically trying to get at is that we are going to reevaluate the grant process, and we are going to put together regulations to govern that grant process. So I think the motion is that the commission would reevaluate the grant process and formulate new administrative regulations to govern that grant process. And I'm looking for a motion to state that.
I would make that motion. This is Commissioner Cox.
All right.
Commissioner Baker will second.
All right. Now, do we have any further discussion on this?
Yes, we do.
Go ahead, Mr. Lambert.
We spent many months with a grant committee, and according to the draft regulations that I had seen that I was asked to give input on as to writing a set of grant regulations, they weren't based on the grant committee's work. I'm troubled that the committee would have met over a half a dozen times, asked for some public input, not had workshops, and now that we're thinking about moving forward without them being based on the guidebook, it seems like the grant committee needs to be reseated before we could have regulations that were so far afield of what I saw as draft regulations presented by Mr. Cox. I believe the title was Grant Regulations in the emails.
All right. Basically, what we're asking for is to reevaluate the grants and put together new administrative regulations, which means there aren't any at the moment. Again, is there any discussion on that subject? Go ahead, Mr.
This is Will Geddes with the Attorney General's office. My recommendation would be that the commission do such a thing. NRS 490-06-8, subsection 2, describes regulations that are to be adopted by the commission relating to various aspects of the grant process. So I think that the motion that is being formulated here to have the grant process proceed by way of regulations to be formulated according to the rulemaking process under Nevada law is a wise motion, and I recommend that you do so.
Thank you, sir. All right, is there any further discussion on this motion?
This is Commissioner Elmore. Can I make a
Yes, sir.
friendly amendment to the motion?
Absolutely.
I make a friendly amendment to the motion that we ensure that the administrative regulations that will be forthcoming meet the intent of 490.068, NRS 490.068, and the full rulemaking process as stated in the revised statutes.
Okay, Mr. Cox, do you accept, Mr. Cox and Commissioner Baker, do you accept that friendly amendment?
I do.
Yes, I would.
All right, terrific. Mr. Lambert?
Would you accept a friendly amendment that these regulations would be based on the prior work of the grant committee?
No, I would not. I think the grant committee, I think there should be one committee to deal with regulations, grant guidebook and everything. I think, as been pointed out, the process has been flawed. It needs to be done over again. So I would not accept the grant guidebook as a guideline. I would like to see the grant guidebook as part of the regulation.
Mr. Geddes?
Thank you. With respect to Commissioner Lambert's point, I would recommend against that. If the motion, as I understand it, is to start from scratch, it would be inappropriate to presume what the workshop, the public meeting, and what the LCB in advance. It'd be improper to presume what that final product would look like. It may very well be that in the flow of those processes and the statutorily required rulemaking process that much is borrowed, used, recycled, but that is a decision that you cannot predict at this point, and I think that to add that in at this motion would suggest that the rulemaking process is not starting from scratch as the statutes require.
All righty, is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'm going to move for the motion. The motion is to reevaluate the grant award procedures and formulate new administrative regulations regarding the grant award process. Can I finish? in compliance with NRS 490.068.
068.
All right, I call for the vote. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? All right, the motion passes unanimously. All right, let's move to 13. Rescission of the freezing of the grant awards. Basically, we've now decided that we are going to turn the system and start again. So we need to get rid of the motion that froze those grant awards. I'm going to open it for discussion or suggestions.
This agenda item actually is to end the whole process.
All right, I'm sorry. I apologize. This agenda item is to rescind the whole process. Do we have any suggestions?
I'll make a motion.
All right. Okay. Mr. Mc...
For clarification, because the record's not very developed on this. I want to just explain what...
Would you want to do?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's been asked that I explain what this item means legally. Will Geddes, Attorney General's office. The commission has now taken action to restart the grant process according to regulations which have yet to be written according to the rulemaking process. And this item is an item, as I understand it, to rescind all that came before with respect to evaluating, receiving grant applications, whether there were promises or offers made or notices given that certain grants were approved and that money would be forthcoming. I believe this item, and the chair can clarify, but my understanding of it is that this is to rescind all acts taken in the grant process to make way for the process that will follow under the regulations and the rulemaking that follows under the last agenda item that was passed.
All right, I believe the next one to speak was Mr. McKay, had a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move